Okay, guys, welcome back to the Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room, and we're following up week one, going into week two, and I don't know how about you, but all that excitement I had is kind of out the window, man. I did so bad this week. I don't know how you guys out there did, but, there's nothing like building excitement all year to the first Sunday of the season. You're all juiced up, ready to go. You got your squad lined up. You're feeling good, and then you just get trounced. Oh. I mean, it's so demoralizing. I felt like, why am I even doing this show or playing fantasy the Sunday night? I was just in the pits, especially after watching the Giants' performance. I mean, it was just the low of lows. I didn't even watch the Bears game because I was just so over.
It was not worth watching anyway. But you're absolutely right. I started off that day, dude. You want to talk about juiced? Could you hear me? Could you hear me screaming next door?
No.
Oh my God, I was so into it. I couldn't wait. Let out a bunch of my Ric Flair woos before we got going.
I bet you did.
And then, the game started. I'm telling you, the first 5 to 7 minutes of every game, I was like, holy shit, I am a fantasy god.
Yeah, doesn't everybody feel like that?
Everybody I selected, I am on fire. I'm going to take the world by storm.
Yeah.
I want to jettison to the top. You're going to be reading about me on the internet. And then the last 47 minutes of every game happened, and oh man,
it was a rough week. I'll just say that. I think I lost out of my major leagues like 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
and I got completely dominated in one.
I think I had a winning percentage of about 40%, which isn't terrible because that's still going to be return on investment with what I put in. But man, I was hoping to hit on like 70%, and it just didn't happen. I mean, some of my guys like. So one that produced, right? Joe Mixon, finally, right?
Yeah.
We've been waiting for years for Joe Mixon. I had Joe Mixon on 40% of my teams, right? So Joe Mixon is the first one I got real excited about. I was like, damn, I was right. Yeah. Man, I'm going to win everything. And then Julio caught two damn balls, man.
It was a weird week for some of the, staples.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
It was odd, man. Some underdogs came through. Jalen Hurts, props. Yeah. And then some of your top-level guys that, started sporting man buns in the offseason just put up bricks, dude.
I hate that guy. Oh. I say what, I had a nail-biter yesterday. I came into the game, I think, down 15. I had, a little bit more, maybe like 18. I had Josh Jacobs going. And, that game went down to the wire. You see me getting emotional about it. And went into OT, and I just needed 2 more points, and I would have won. So, that was tough. But, at that point, I had already accepted my loss. So it was all upside. I was working. I wasn't really paying attention to the score, just sneaking in and watching bits and pieces of the game. But that being said, our show league was the league I got destroyed in by my brother.
Absolutely.
He hasn't even changed the name of his team yet. So that's just a spit in the face.
I kind of feel like maybe his starting lineup was auto subbed too. It was probably all of his first picks.
No.
No. Well,
he won Rocky's league last year. He's not bad.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying if you're going to take the time to put in a lineup, change your damn team name.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't. I think I don't know. I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I need to change it because it was Delano's team from last year.
Yeah.
And when he got it, it had the name.
Yeah.
But maybe not. Who knows? He just tore his Achilles and had surgery Friday, so
maybe that's what
I'll give him a benefit of the doubt.
Noxian might Noxus will. I don't even know what the hell that's
Nobody
from.
knows what that means but Delano.
Oh man.
How'd you do? Did you win? Did you lose?
I did win. Who did I beat here? I beat Sparrow.
I'm always happy about a Sparrow loss.
I put it on him too, man, by 35.
Nice. What about, did Rocky win?
Rocky
lost, I hope.
Who is... What team is Rocky?
I don't know. You're supposed to have this pull up. This is our...
No, I have it here. Is he legally blind?
Yes, he's legally blind.
Is he legally blind?
Yeah, because we were making fun of his glasses that day.
Yeah, Josh trounced him.
Good.
About 28.
Oh, that's got to hurt a little bit extra this week. And
it stings. It's got to sting him.
And did Tone win?
Tone crushed it. Tone had the second most points behind Zach.
Nice. Good job, Tone.
So Zach was just out of his mind. 205. Yeah. I mean, Amari Cooper, Jalen Hurts, Christian McCaffrey were his top 3 scorers. And then a very meager, what is that, 62 points later was the second best team this week, which was Tone at 143.
Nice. You sound like you were having trouble. Are you stroking out on the bike?
I was. It's the math, man. As I get older, math,
it's tough.
You know, the numbers just don't go around like Good Will Hunting in my head anymore.
Got it. All right. So
now it's more like
we got the fantasy. I mean, anything else you want to mention about this week besides being just, just morally bankrupt after this week, feeling like I'll do anything to win?
Yeah. You know what? I'm training myself here to get as up for next week as I was for week 1.
It's tough.
It's a mulligan.
You know what? Knock on the door.
I'm going to take a mulligan.
We'll hit a shot.
Oh, I'm out of town this weekend.
Oh, okay. Where are you going?
I'm going to have to watch it from a yurt. We're going to North Georgia. We're going up to a little place called Helen. It's a little German town.
Oh, let's not get into this. Let's save that for when we get closer. But yeah, that's cool.
They're celebrating Oktoberfest already.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yahtzee.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have fun. I won't.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to move on to some of our top waiver targets this week?
Yeah, is that what we should do? Let's do some waiver wire targets.
Who you got? So you know what? I'll start here. We'll go by position.
Man,
we'll go quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that.
Bastard.
We'll go quarterbacks. I think the number one guy that's not owned that you want is Tyrod Taylor. I don't know that it's going to be the grass is going to be the screen every week, but 23.6 fantasy points, 40 yards on the ground, close to 300 passing, and 2 touchdowns. He looked good. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen him produce before. I know they're going up against the Jags, but nobody had them winning that game.
No.
And he looked good. So if you're in the league and you had Fitz for some reason as your starter, you waited on quarterback, he's not owned. I wouldn't mind stashing him away. And if you have somebody that you like better already, you can stash and trade him in a week or two for somebody that needs him.
I'm not going to argue with Tyrod, right? I mean, I don't think anyone picked Houston to win a single game this year, for that matter.
I picked him to win that game.
Did you?
Yeah.
But what I will say is here we are with a very potent offense that is now onto their second-string quarterback due to injury, and you just mentioned him. Fitz is down. Heineke. I like Heineke off the wire.
I like Heineke, too.
Because he's mobile as well.
My thing with Heineke is I just don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Sample size is small.
It might be. Here's the thing: if you depending on your league and the roster size, do I add him? Yeah, because there's no loss here if there's space for him. And like I said, somebody else could go down. There might be another quarterback needy team in your league. And if we even get into like super flex and like 2 QB leagues, obviously these guys you're picking up. But it's in a standard league, a 12-team league. Pick up Heineke. Somebody needs him. You can always flip these guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's always a smart move to pick these guys up. Don't let other guys in your league too get them cheap.
That's the beauty of the waiver wire too. Just like you said, you can flip, right? So week to week, man, be a waiver hound. Just get on there. The guy you pick up this week might be the guy that you're selling next week to pick up your next waiver claim.
Dirty hound.
You just sometimes you gotta plug and play in your lineup. And from Heineke's standpoint, I mean, imagine your dad goes out and buys a brand new Ferrari, right? And you're an 18-year-old kid that just got your license, right? You're dying to drive that car.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, just Dad, let me drive it. Well, then Dad goes and he busts his damn hip, but he just bought this brand new Ferrari. He still wants to take nice rides, so he gives the keys to the kid, and the kid says, "All right, here we go."
You could have just said he had keys. He's got keys to the Ferrari now.
What's your point? But
I'm just saying why that wasn't a great story.
It sounded a lot better the way I said it.
No, if you just say he's got the keys to the Ferrari now, everybody gets it.
No, everybody was expecting that. I don't go with the expected.
Well, you said Ferrari earlier, so I think they knew where you were going. The breath is hot. All right, so who else? You got anybody? I have as a speculative ad Justin Fields for the same reason. I think he's eventually going to play. Maybe you get him early before he gets hot on everybody's radar, and then maybe you can flip him too.
Another great point on the waiver wire. Sometimes you want to do that. If you have that flexibility, your team is solid, you got one dog shit player that you're like, I can get rid of him. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make it shit's worth the difference on my team.
Darnell Mooney, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And then you pick up Justin Fields and stash him because Fields will be playing at the end of the season.
Trey Lance, too. I'd say Trey Lance as well.
Trey Lance, yeah. Fields and Lance, the only two rookie quarterbacks to have a 100% completion percentage thus far.
No context there. All right. So let's go with let's move on to running backs. Who do you got? Notice I'll let you talk about this guy. Go ahead.
I think it's got to be Mitchell, right? It's got to be Elijah Mitchell, Mr. Sixth-round rookie running back.
Missile. Missile's good.
Missile, yeah.
Elijah Missile.
Yeah, we should probably hurry up and try to trademark that before anybody else does.
Yeah.
So the Missile, the sixth-round Missile.
Yeah.
Is it real? I don't know.
Let's not clue in our segment, but yeah.
Why did why Trey Sermon sit last week?
I think he's supposed to play week 2 is what I heard today.
Yeah, I heard.
But I still think I think Mitchell's the guy right now.
Mitchell's got to be the guy,
104
right?
yards. Let me see what he got. 104 yards and a touchdown. 19 carries. They gave him 19 carries.
Yeah, that's big.
And Mostert's going to be out. I think. Let me see. I have it written down.
And you're talking about a dude that loves riding the hot hand at running back too. So
that's for sure. Yeah.
If Mitchell is hot, he's
Mostert's out 8 weeks. They're saying right now.
No. He's out for the season. He just had season-ending surgery.
Oh no.
Yep.
All right. So Mostert out for the breaking news. Mostert out for the season.
Yeah. No
breaking
joke.
to me.
Within the last 2 hours, it looks like Mostert's out for the season.
I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah. And then, you had Jeff Wilson that went down. I mean, if anybody rides the hot hand at running back, is it not San Fran? Because it started in the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Mostert, and it seems like it's just gone. Every time there's an injury, they ride the hot hand. That's how Jeff Wilson, rose to
Michael
prominence.
Hasty, there's a whole crop of them, yeah.
There are. So, I mean, a little dicey, but anytime you go into San Fran's backfield, it's going to be a little dicey. And it's kind of funny. Anyway.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so I'll mention Mark Ingram here.
I don't make it a point to go in the San Fran's backfield.
Yeah, I mean, these are one of those. I don't know how much long-lasting value he's going to have. This could be a result of the game script here. They were up big and they just put him in a position where they wanted to run the ball. So I don't know. He did out-snap David Johnson and Lindsey by about 20 snaps each. I'm just in the middle, but I guess if you have the space, it doesn't hurt because, it's the same thing we said about these other guys. You can flip him if he has another good week or a semi-good week. You still, have an ability to probably move him to somebody that's running back needy. Or if, the unthinkable happens and he just becomes the lead back for the year, then you have him.
It might not even be unthinkable. They named him the starter over 3 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
So that's saying something, right? David Johnson's making the most in that backfield, and they still named Ingram the starter, the definitive starter 3 weeks ago.
All three of them scored touchdowns, too, this week. But I don't know how much that's going to continue going forward.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be trailing all the time. So are they really going to be running the ball? I'm not so sure. They're going to be trailing a lot.
You have any other running backs to add on the waiver?
Latavius Murray. People did, if they, I hastily dropped him in a league when he got cut and completely forgot to go in and change my waiver wire. Ended up dropping him, and here he is. He gets picked up in Baltimore in a fabulous situation. He received 51% of the playing time over Tyson Williams, who actually looked really good as well.
Yeah, I have a little pause about that, but I'm not opposed to adding him.
Yeah, so I mean, Williams or Murray, I think they're both probably valuable pickups. I would say maybe skirt the Devontae Freeman and the Le'Veon Bell pickups, and I'd probably target Williams and Murray. I think they're probably the more logical pickups there.
Yeah, I really like Williams. Yeah. I mean, seeing him, I mean,
he looked good, man.
I think it hurts Murray's value after seeing him.
He's a shifty little dude.
Yeah,
I like him.
All right, wide receivers. Do you have anybody?
Wide receivers to pick up off the waiver wire. I don't know. You start.
I'll go with Sterling Shepard. I heard earlier on. I was listening to Fantasy Focus. Said he's unowned in about 70% of leagues.
Yeah,
and he's like easy top 40. Some people can argue a little bit higher. But, I mean, 7 receptions, 113 yards, a touchdown. Even if you give you a little bit less than that, him being available right now in most leagues it's kind of crazy. And that offense looked terrible this week. Offense only had time possession just over 20 minutes. So I think there's even more production to be had from him if they could get the defense to get off the field. So Shepard, I think, is a solid pickup on the waiver wire this week.
Yeah. Maybe in New Orleans, maybe Deontay Harris.
Yeah.
just because he's the field stretcher, right? So, I mean, only 2 catches, but 72 yards and a touchdown out of him. So, I mean, Jameis is going to put the ball in the air, and that's another team that we predicted would be playing from behind a lot this year. Week one didn't say that. Oh, my God.
But I'll tell you what, they didn't let their foot off the pedal either.
They did not, man. They almost snatched that man bun right off of Aaron's head.
Yeah, they almost did. All right, anybody I know? I'll mention a quick mention to Tim Patrick from the Broncos. I don't know how sustainable that is, but Judy is out, and they're saying Judy's out, I think, as well for 6 to 8.
I think it's 4 to 6, but, I mean...
you're 4 to 6, high ankle sprain.
Did you see what he looked like, though, when he went down? I mean, he was in tears. He thought it was a lot worse than it was.
I was watching the game, yeah. But the thing to keep in mind, too, is 4 to 6, that's tentative. It could be a little bit earlier, a little bit later. But he needs to be 100% to be at full speed. So even if he comes back and he's not 100%, that might be a little tough. So Patrick may, take on a larger role there. You get him early. I'll also throw Brian Edwards in. He had a nice night last night, at least fourth quarter on.
Yeah.
And maybe to get more comfortable, maybe they just started to build chemistry right there, and Carr looked really good. So
I'm going to throw out a couple of quick tight ends. I don't think tight ends there's too many shockers, but you might be able to find Gerald Everett on the waiver wire with in Seattle. Gerald Everett is definitely worth a pick up there. Okay. And the other one that was surprising because you had a feeling he was going to be in the script, right? But he wasn't written in anywhere preseason. Was David Njoku, and Njoku was on the field for a lot of plays.
You know what? Rocky mentioned he didn't mention the snap time, but he didn't mention how he came on last year in the playoffs. So.
Yeah, and Njoku looked good, man, when he was targeted. Because I watched a good portion of that game, and Njoku, I mean, he was targeted. There were plays that were written specifically for Njoku.
How sad is that the Browns, winning all day, and they
gave that game away.
I don't hate the Chiefs, but man, I hated seeing the same old thing happen, seeing them come back. I was pulling for the Browns.
I was too.
They look good. I still think they're going to be good, but man, that just definitely puts something in the back of their head about a team that they're going to need to go through to get to where they want to be.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's move on from the waivers. I think we're going to move on to a little segment we're going to try out. It's called Clout Chasers. And basically, we're just going to, talk about some guys that had maybe unexpected weeks, and we're going to decide whether we think these guys actually have some clout this fantasy season or they're just clout chasers. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you some names. You tell me clout chaser. I'll do the same, and if you have something small to say about them, you can say it, but we want to kind of keep this like a buzzer show kind of deal.
And I think we could go the other way with it too. I could throw out a couple of names that were actually very, very low this week that we predicted to have a lot of clout.
Okay, yeah, we can do that.
Let's go from the other end. You start us off.
We'll start with the guy we just talked about. We'll talk about Mark Ingram, 26 carries, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Clout, or is he clout chaser?
All right, so I feel like this is loaded. I'm going to have to go clout chaser only because I think they are going to play from behind a lot, so I don't know how much they're going to dedicate to the run, and he pretty much is a strictly running back. They have 2 pass-catching backs in that backfield in both Phillip Lindsay and also David Johnson. I think the clout of him being the running back 1 is real. I think them naming him the starter 3 weeks ago was not by accident or to throw fantasy football players off. I think that he is definitively the running back 1 on the ground. But again, they're going to play from behind a lot, and he might not see the field as often as he did in week 1. So I think he's probably a clout chaser.
Yeah, another one. So just say clout or clout chaser, all right? Good points. Let's try to keep the segment quick. So, all right. So I'm going to say clout chaser as well.
All right.
Nutshell, I think the game script did that for him. I don't think he'll lead the backfield in snaps again. All right. Unless they're in that same position, which we both doubt. Jameis Winston.
Man, you just told me to be quick.
Well, I said a sentence.
You piggyback.
We'll listen back.
All right.
I was trying to.
Who's next?
That was a soft me showing you how to do it. Jameis Winston, right? Famous Jameis.
Famous Jameis.
It throttled the Green Bay Packers in one of the weirdest stat lines I've ever seen. 148 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 39 fantasy points. Whatever. He looked sharp. Clout chaser, or does he have clout?
Come on, man. He beat the man bun. He's got the clout.
I say he has the clout too. I think he's gonna have a great season.
He's got my respect.
All right, Elijah Mitchell, another guy we just talked about. 19 carries, over 100 yards, and a touchdown. No receptions. Is he clout or a clout chaser?
Again, man, it's a muddy backfield situation. I got to call him a clout chaser because I still think that Trey Sermon factors in here. I think JaMychal Hasty factors in. Clout chaser.
Clout chaser.
Yeah, I went on again.
No, that was fine. That was perfect. I'm gonna cheat a little bit and say he has clout the next few weeks, but I think he's a clout chaser. I think eventually it's gonna go away.
Ultimately.
All right. So Tyson Williams, 9 carries, 65 yards, a touchdown, 3 catches, just under 30 yards receiving. Clout chaser.
Clout.
I say clout as well. I think he's just dynamic. I think he's dynamic, and Murray is Jordan Howard.
Chomping at the bit. He was on the practice squad last year. He knows the system. Yeah. The 15 backs that they just brought in this past week do not know the system. Yeah. If you watch that game, Tyson Williams is shifty. He's fast. He hits the hole.
He looked the part. He looked, like I said, he looked dynamic. He changed my mind about how that backfield was going to run.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Deebo Samuel, 9 receptions, 189 yards receiving, 1 touchdown, spent the week on my bench. We don't need to talk about that.
You'd have won. You'd have won with him in a.
I just have it's going to sound crazy. I just have so many guys on that team. I think, Josh Jacobs over him, which I guess is questionable now, but coming into the week, I wasn't so sure. So is he a clout chaser, or do you believe the clout?
He has got clout. And I actually, shame on me, he sat on a bench too. Yeah. When I had him in the lineup, and I was like, nah, I think Ayuk is going to have a bigger week.
Oh, no.
Yeah, dude. And
I was actually higher on him coming into the year. We'll see how it plays out. But I would have won easily if I would have started him over Jacobs. And Jacobs had a good game. We don't have to get into that. All right. Last guy, another guy we mentioned on the waiver segment, Sterling Shepard, 7 receptions, 113 yards, 1 TD. Clout chaser or clout?
I think you got to say clout because he's been in that system a long time. And he's been producing. So I think you got to say clout, despite the fact that they have 1,000 wide receivers there. He looked the part. He knows what he's doing. He's got good rapport. Clout.
I say clout as well because I think it's a down week for the offense, number one. So I think it only goes up from here. And he's the most consistent guy on the offense. So, Sterling Shepard. All right, so you got your reverse list. Let me hear who you got, buddy.
Well, actually, I might only have like one.
All right, that's fine.
But I just mentioned him, man, because you know why? It's hurting my heart.
Excuse me?
Ayuk,
okay.
What happened, man? I thought Ayuk was supposed to be the dude, I thought. I mean, you look at his stats last year. Yeah. You watch his game tape.
It's 1 week, but okay. I would still say...
I'm so down on it.
I would still say... he has clout.
Yeah.
I think that offense is going to be sick this year. Just the way they threw the ball. I know Detroit's defense is pretty bad. I just think they're going to get after it, and I think he'll be involved. I mean, Kittle looked okay too, so I don't know.
I lied. I got one more. Robert Woods, because he had a little bit of a down week.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I'm saying clout too. I mean, that offense looked great.
I'm just looking. I'm looking for validation here. How about Julio?
How about Darnell? How about Darnell Mooney?
How about him? Well, I still say clout, man. He was targeted 7 times.
Yeah.
5 catches, 26 yards. Unfortunately, it's a product of limitation. Yeah. That offense is not built right now to move down the field until they commit to Mr. Soldier Fields. Once he comes in, Mooney is a factor. He's someone that you're going to have to game plan for. As of right now, again, that offense isn't moving the ball in big chunks, as evidenced by Allen Robinson, 6 for 35. I mean, their leading receiver was Marquise Goodwin, for crying out loud, 4 for 45.
Yeah, that was surprising.
You know, I mean, I'm just saying that offense needs a shot at Justin.
All right. Wow. So I think we're good to move on to
you can really dance.
Do our little. We're going to project this our second week projections. We'll recap a little bit. We're going to go game by game for you guys. We're going to try to keep this relatively quick. I think what we need to do is keep in mind that this is early in the week, so we will try to I will try to update you guys on injuries as the week goes along. But if anything, when you see this, I'm sure it'll be up to you're going to get this before Thursday. So up before Thursday, everything you hear here will be kind of up to date, and I'll change it or address it if I need to. So with that being said, we'll start off with the Thursday night game. It's the New York Giants at the Washington football team. I wish they would pick a nickname already. That'd be nice. Okay, so Fitzpatrick's on the shelf. Taylor Heineke is starting. I don't know that the guys like McLaurin and Thomas or Gibson, I don't really think this affects them too much.
No.
We've seen these guys productive last year with Haskins, with Kyle Allen, who's a third stringer now, with a guy who's retired. I think you feel relatively the same you did about them before. Look, Gibson had 20 carries last week. I think we're feeling good about that. He had 3 receptions, kind of the workload we expected. Did anything really stick out to you about them this game, as far as especially after Fitzpatrick went out?
I think Gibson had a couple of nice runs in there. I know his average isn't going to tell that tale necessarily. 4.5.
It was 4. That's not. But it's respectable.
Yeah. He ripped off a couple of nice runs though against a really a decent defense that's got they got a great front four. That is the one thing that stuck out to me. The lack of targeting Terry McLaurin also stuck out to me. Yeah. I think they probably should have factored Scary Terry in a little bit more. But I'm hoping that Ferrari gets back to it. And I think maybe Heineke now will do what I thought Fitzpatrick was going to do and just let her rip, man.
How do you feel about the matchup? I know as a Giants fan, I'll tell you what I think, but I'll let you go first.
Well, I picked Washington, right, to win that division. So yeah. I do like Washington, obviously above all those other squads. The one team that I saw them having a problem with was maybe Dallas.
Yeah.
So I do like them to beat the Giants here. But I don't know, what was Galladay's production there?
Galladay was terrible. And it wasn't right? Galladay. Here's the thing. A lot of this came garbage time. He had one big catch early in the game. We'll just move into the Giants offense since we did that. I think it's hot seat time for Jason Garrett in New York. There's a lot of talk about how unimaginative his offense is, and this even dates back to when he was in Dallas. Super talented teams, very vanilla offense.
Sounds a lot like Matt Nagy.
Yeah, I mean, you draft the kid number one. I mean, the first round, you go out and spend $19 million on a receiver, and you really don't utilize him. You only dump the ball off to Saquon once the whole game. Now, I will say the defense, the time of possession was pretty heavily tilted towards the Broncos. Vic Fangio, who's known as a conservative guy, went for fourth down about 4 or 5 times, and it was just one of those. If you ever played Madden, and you're playing a guy, it's 3rd and 12, you play to keep him from getting the first, and this is that where you played to keep him from getting it, and then he has a 4th and 2, and then at that point it's super hard to defend that. But they should have got off the field. But it definitely affected the offense. There was a point, second and the third quarter, where Denver had the ball for 21 minutes out of the 30 minutes.
Damn.
Yeah, so, the Giants, through the third quarter, the Giants only had 5 drives on offense. So I'm saying that to say that some of this stuff is a little skewed, but there is an issue with Jason Garrett in New York, and until we see a change in the way that the offense is called, I think some of these guys are going to be limited, if I'm being honest. I think Shepard's shown through just because he's been that consistent and he's been over the middle field. He gets open, but this offense, the way he calls it, it's not built for Kenny Galladay. That's what doesn't make sense. He's a jump ball, high point the ball guy. They have nothing that they ran yesterday. I mean, the longest play they had was on an offside where they had a free play and he took a shot. And then what I don't understand is the first quarter is a beautiful, that's what he's good at, deep balls. He catches the ball, and then if that didn't happen, they didn't attempt to play over 20 yards the whole game.
Well, thank you for that play-by-play recap.
Yeah,
of the entire Giants game. Way to keep
I
that
told
short
you I'm
and
a Giants
concise.
fan. No, that was not short nor concise. I'll give you that. But I'm just saying it's definitely going to paint these guys' numbers. I would probably stay away from most of these guys besides Shepard until we see a change in that offense.
Yeah, and I hate to say that because I'd like to see Barkley produce. That being said, I think the last time I played Madden was I think Kyle Orton was the starting quarterback in Chicago.
Wow. But I think it's going to be this Thursday, that game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, a divisional game, short week. backup quarterback for the Redskins. I mean, for the football team. Giants trying to get their crap together. Neither defense looked like they were supposed to look this Sunday. So I don't know. It's kind of a hodgepodge. But
I'm just saying, I'm gonna be camping in the woods. Potentially no reception. I'm kind of glad that's the Thursday night game.
yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, you could miss that one.
Yeah.
All right, so
Let's go on.
Move on to
Vegas.
Vegas with a big win last night.
Them Raiders at the Steelers.
Okay,
Pittsburgh. You want to talk about the Raiders with a big one? What about Pittsburgh, man?
Man, I called that one too, man. You didn't watch the episode, I guess. I called that game too. I thought Pittsburgh was going to go in there and win. I thought that Buffalo would have a tough time with that defense. A little bit of a hangover from last year. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl, but a lot of hype on them. And I think Pittsburgh's a tough, well-coached team. So what do you think about this week?
I think, first off, that I did not watch the episode. I find myself watching less and less episodes because I find myself with less and less time. I mean, it's to the point, like, when I shit, like, I hope, like, oh, my God, I hope that's a slam dunk because I don't even know if I have time to wipe.
That's crazy.
But anyway, I think Pittsburgh looked good last week against Buffalo. I thought Buffalo was going to dismantle Pittsburgh.
I did not think that.
No, well, kudos to you. I mean, Pittsburgh did a really, really good job of keeping them in check. They spread the ball around like you thought Pittsburgh was going to do. You bring in the Raiders now. Let's just say, I mean, Roethlisberger is not Lamar Jackson, right? You're not going to get the mobility, but you're going to get a dude that stands in the pocket and has a lot of weapons. So I think the Raiders are facing a much different task this week, and they're facing a very similar defense to Baltimore.
But I'll say this real quick to kind of pigtail off of that is that this looked like the Pittsburgh team from the first 10 games last year, which won 10 games, but offense was not very productive. The defense really carried the day.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're also facing a top 5 defense as well in Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is stout.
Yeah, I mean, but the Raiders looked pretty good last night. I don't know if you watched the game.
I did.
And they were facing – that offense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the tough part about early in the season. You just don't know who's what. But I'm looking at, Roethlisberger, 188 yards passing. Do the math. There's not a lot of yardage to break up between 3 receivers who we have fantasy interest in, right?
Right.
I mean, 4 receptions for Schuster, 3 for Claypool, 5 for Johnson. And Claypool had a great catch on the sideline, but none of these guys was over 52 yards. Deontay Johnson got the touchdown, and that was a beautiful, beautiful catch. It's just I'm a little – they couldn't really run the ball.
And, I mean, Derek Carr did hang 435 on Baltimore.
Yeah, Derek Carr did numbers.
I mean, if he hangs 435 on Pittsburgh.
They didn't push the ball down the field. And maybe that was the Bills' defense, but the Raiders' defense looked good. We'll see. I'm a little bit more hesitant to start one of these guys this week. I don't know, man.
Seeing how Baltimore ran the ball last night against Vegas, I'm hoping that Najee gets off the schneid.
Yeah, maybe he get going. 2.8 yards a carry. That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough. Anyway, you cut it. What do we think about Buffalo's starter? What do you think about Allen? What do you think Diggs and Beasley, who you love?
I do. I love them. I do. I know we're talking about them a little bit later, but I think that. I mean, Josh still had...
you know what? We were just talking about them playing last week.
I know.
I butchered that.
You segued way down there.
Yeah, sorry about that. But, so let's talk about Vegas. Sorry about that. Forget that happened.
I think I think Waller, if Carr can hang another 4 plus, you're looking at Waller, obviously.
I think Waller, no matter what,
is
just, insane.
Yeah, I couldn't believe he only had a couple catches in that first half. I got a little worried.
Yeah, no, he's a stud, man.
Speaking of a couple catches in the first half, Mr. Zach Ertz there in Philly, segue into our next game.
I'm not done with Las Vegas.
Oh, you're not?
How you just skipped over Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake?
Well, I was trying to.
I get what you're saying.
We're supposed to
we'll make this really quick,
short and concise.
Yeah, you're right.
I think we're on like 30 minutes on 2 games.
Yeah,
already.
You're right. So we're just real quick. Josh Jacobs, he 16, 17 fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. I don't know what's going on there. He only had 34 yards rushing. Kenyon Drake, he wasn't involved as I thought he was going to be, especially with Jacobs banged up.
Not until the end.
That backfield is annoying, right? But I think you still start Jacobs as your flex if you have him. because he's going to score.
Unless you have Debo.
You can't. Yeah, that's true. You can't rely on touchdowns, but I think Josh Jacobs is one of the few guys in the league that you could kind of almost
he's going
to score.
He's going to vulture everything at the goal line.
All right,
You're right there.
Next game.
All right. Speaking of vulturing at the goal line, no, there's no one that really vultures on these two teams. San Fran at Philly, right?
Yeah, tell me about it.
I expect Debo to do what I expected Calvin Ridley to do to Philly's secondary. Now seeing how Debo hung a $189 up there, I was expecting Ridley to hang a $189 on Philly. Maybe Philly's defense is that good, or maybe Atlanta's offense is just that shitty.
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. But I'll tell you what, Hurts looked good as well. And if Hurts can continue it against San Fran, who's got a pretty decent defense and obviously a very sneaky, explosive offense, Hurts could be a good play here.
Are you giving Gainwell a look? I mean, he got the short touchdown, but I think Sanders was the guy this week still. He led the backfield. I mean, I'm starting Sanders this week. I'll start him again.
I mean, I don't want to give up on Sanders, right? It's 15 for 74, almost 5 yards a carry. He factors into the passing game, 4 for 39. I like Sanders. Again, I think that offense is probably built around no more than 15 yards down the field, and those guys, it's all about yakking Philly, right?
Yeah, and Smith led the way. 6 catches, 71 yards.
Smith looked good, man.
And Rager looked all right too.
Yeah.
Rager had a touchdown. Goddard was super solid. I didn't start him this week, but he actually started Pitts over him this week with a stupid mistake there. But yeah, he looked good this week.
Man, Pitts looked disappointing. I wanted to see Pitts just
I just think that offense has got to get it together. It was a little concerning. San Francisco, I think we're starting Elijah Moore this week, right? I think it's the only running back you'd start.
I think so.
Yeah, and
especially not knowing what's going on with Trey Sermon.
What about Kittle? You like Kittle?
Who does? I mean, you have to like Kittle.
Well, you didn't mention him, so I'm just asking.
Well, he's one of those guys. It's like saying, do you like Patrick Mahomes this week?
Yeah, I guess if
Kittle
is it to that extent, but
maybe not to that extent. But that's a little bit of an exaggeration. But I do like Kittle against that Philly secondary.
All right, so let's move on to Houston and Cleveland.
All right, let's talk about an offense that needs to get it together. America's team, according to Rocky, the Cleveland Browns, right?
Yeah, I don't buy into that.
They were looking. Dude, there was a commercial on the other day that I think called Cleveland America's team.
Yeah, I bet they
which
did.
is friggin' hysterical. It was probably a Chick-fil-A commercial. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, you're probably
right.
So we talked about this game being a high-scoring game, and it was pretty high-scoring. Chubb, man, 15 carries, 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt gets a touchdown. Yeah. Only 6 carries, but he averaged 5.5. So he looked good while he was out there. Hunt had the 3 catches as well. What I was surprised by was just like you said, Njoku with the 3 catches, 5 targets. Landry had 5 targets. Anthony Schwartz had 5 targets. And then the late scratch with Odell. Is he going to be back week 2? I suspect he is, because if he was a game-time decision this week, then he should be a
Well, they worked him out. They just said that he looked a little clunky. I think was the actual definition. They said he was stiff and he couldn't really loosen up. Mm-hmm. I expect him to play this week. And let's face it, Houston, you're not facing Trevor Lawrence this week, right? 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You're facing Baker Mayfield, who's a little bit further along in his progression than Trevor Lawrence, and he's got a lot of weapons. I fully expect Cleveland to put the throttle down, especially after losing that heartbreaker to KC. I say, if you have Cleveland guys, you're starting Chubb, you're starting Hunt. If OBJ plays, I think you got to start him.
Yeah. What about Njoku? Would you start him?
I don't know, man, because Hooper still looked good too.
Yeah.
So their tight end situation is a lot like Houston's backfield.
Which we're about to talk about next.
You don't know who to go with.
So that being said, do you start Mark Ingram this week if you have him? You start him at your flex, or do you?
I don't, because I think Cleveland's front 4 is too big and powerful, and I think Houston is definitely playing from behind this week.
So what about Lindsey? Maybe it's a week for him to shine.
Lindsey or David Johnson. So if you want that power back that also catches, you go with David Johnson. If you're looking for strictly shifty receiving back, then you go with
I'll say this
Lindsey.
week, Lindsey, in a game that they were up, a run script heavy game, Lindsey out carried Johnson by 5 carries.
Yeah.
So just put that in the back of your brain. Brandon Cooks, another guy I had on a lot of teams I thought was going to be pretty solid this year. Definitely value for him this year. I think a lot of people weren't really thinking of Cooks just because of the quarterback situation. I tell you what, to come out of the gate with Tyrod Taylor, who's not really known as a down-the-field passer, and go 5-132, that's pretty nice.
Yep, absolutely.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Probably not.
I think we hit it. Denver, Jacksonville.
Okay, Denver, Jacksonville.
This one's a
it's a tough one. You know what? I will
two
say
teams
this.
I really don't care much about.
Yeah, but I'd say what? I think the way that Jacksonville's defense looked last week, you have an opportunity here. If you have
Cortland
maybe Sutton,
Noah
even
Fant.
Melvin Gordon.
Melvin Gordon turned back the clock, man. Melvin Gordon looked good.
He's only 28. I think that it's greatly over-exaggerated that he's old. I mean, he definitely showed he had juice in those legs still.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sniffed
but,
the
you
end
know,
zone
him
again.
and Javonte split carries evenly, 30 or snaps, 33 and 33. I think you can start either one of those guys this week because I think they're committed to running the ball, and especially with Judy out, maybe you give a little bit of a look to Patrick, who we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, and I think Trevor Lawrence, I think you keep him on your bench this week. I think facing Denver, who's got a better defense than Houston, I think he's looking at, probably another touchdown to interception ratio like you had last week, with possibly interceptions winning out there against Denver.
Jacksonville is a mess.
Jacksonville is
Hearing
a
a
mess,
lot of
man.
stuff out of there about Urban Meyer looking bad.
I think Urban Myers came in and he was trying to prove something.
You just went full Rocky on that one. You said Urban Myers.
Urban Myers. I think he. I got to spill one out for him not being here.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to prove too much.
Yeah, I heard they
he
hate
knows the NFL game.
I heard they hate him.
I mean, you have J-Rob, man. Why try to make a point bringing in your guy Carlos Hyde, who looked terrible?
Yeah, it's tough.
J-Rob touched the ball a couple of times and actually looked dynamic. They should have given him
He got
more
8 touches.
opportunities.
8 touches.
And that's sad.
Yeah,
J-Rob should have gone off.
Yep. Well, I think we should have known the writing was on the wall when he went to Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
Drafted Etienne in the first round.
Good point.
So let's move on. New Orleans at Carolina. I think is going to be a bad day for Carolina. I think it's going to be a bad day for Carolina.
It might be. I think there's 2 guys worth having in this game.
In the whole game?
They are.
I think there's a few.
Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey. You can start both.
I'd
of
like
those
Tony
guys.
Jones Jr. too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Tony Jones because I think they're going to be up big. They're going to be running the ball.
Wow.
But
You're calling New Orleans to do it again.
Oh yeah, I think Carolina looked okay in the first half of that game against New York, who's a new team, new coach, a lot of young players missing their top pass rusher. They looked out. I mean, the Jets looked outmatched in the first half, but they were able to turn it around on them in the second half.
Oh.
And they did not look good. And I tell you what, Robbie Anderson, the way that Saints defense looked this week, I mean, I don't know. I'm calling for a couple picks from Darnold. I think it's going to be an ugly game, and I think they'll be running the ball.
I'll tell you what, if Carolina could be in trouble if Sam Darnold is sporting a man bun, because apparently New Orleans is after them buns, man. They're scalping people.
All right, so we definitely start both those guys. I'll throw Tony Jones in there. Marquez Callaway, a little bit of surprise, but they didn't have to throw the ball much. I mean, 150 yards passing. They had a connection in the preseason. I still think that Marquez Callaway has some clout. All right. So we'll go absolutely. LA Rams at Indy.
All right. Indy, surprising this past week. I thought maybe they'd be able to do a little bit more. Wentz is still trying to shake off the rust. Granted, they went up against Seattle, right? But I was expecting more out of Pittman. Jonathan Taylor was productive, but pedestrian. It was a 17-point game. It was nothing to like.
He didn't score a touchdown, but I mean, I still love
heavily
6
factored
receptions
into the game though.
6 receptions, 7. So I'm feeling good about him.
Oh, I am too.
Yeah, so I'm happy, especially with Nyheim Hines getting the contract. He just shook me a little bit, but he still had the fair share of the offense, like I thought he would.
And not for nothing, but David Montgomery looked really good carving through that Rams front 4. Montgomery had some
solid... Montgomery looked a little more pep in his step than I've seen in the past 2 years.
But I think what it showed that you might be able to run against the Rams this year. And if that's the case, then Jonathan Taylor is probably going to have a half-decent
You're starting
game.
him anyway, but a guy you might not be starting, I think we have to talk about is Zach Pascal, who's a guy that's been around for a couple years, and when he's got playing time, he's always put up a respectable something like this for 40-something, for 50-something, and the guy got in the end zone twice.
Yeah.
4 catches, 43 yards. He had more catches than Pittman,
And another guy to look on the waiver wire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, productive. Kind of like a guy on the other side of the ball there. And Robert Woods. Robert Woods is productive every year.
Yeah.
Last night or Sunday night, not great. He got in the end zone. Yeah. Only 3 catches. He got in the end zone. That touchdown saved you. As far as putting a real stinker up on the board.
I don't really worry about him.
I don't either.
Only thing I will say is Van Jefferson. Definitely got some looks, so I might cut into that a little bit. But I think that offense is going to be dynamic. So I think you have no qualms or issues, especially this week starting Robert Woods.
All right. What we got? We got some Buffalo at Miami here.
Buffalo.
Buffalo's got to rebound, right?
Yeah, I think Buffalo, they're going up against a tough defense, but I'm starting Diggs. Obviously, I'm starting Allen again. I think these guys are matchup proof.
Yeah.
Maybe Singletary?
Maybe. Depends on what happens with Zach Moss. I think he was sat for disciplinary actions. So maybe you do start Singletary there.
He played well.
Yeah, not bad. 70-some yards. If Moss is back and Moss factors in, obviously that's going to cut in the Singletary the ceiling. Miami, though, man, Jalen Waddle in that crowded wide receiver core. Jalen Waddle put up a solid game in his first NFL debut.
Well, you didn't mention Cole Beasley.
Well, it's because you don't have to, man. He's the 5th best wide receiver in the league.
Yeah, you're right.
So Miami, Devontae Parker stepped up, 4 catches, 80-some yards. I think he had
another guy I had on my bench.
Yeah, the one guy that did surprise me, I thought Myles Gaskin was going to factor in a little bit more. I'm not exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not selling him yet.
No.
But he's got another tough matchup, man. Buffalo's got a pretty decent defense. I think Gaskin, flex or bench this week. I don't know that you're starting him with confidence.
Yeah, I might fade Gaskin this week in this matchup.
I don't know if you're starting him with confidence, but I would say maybe get in. You'd probably want to get Parker, Waddle into your lineup. Oh, and Fuller's back this week too.
Oh yeah, so that's going to make things even more.
Yeah,
we'll see.
A little tricky.
All right, so New England, the Pats, and Mac Jones, who I called is going to be the best rookie quarterback before the season.
Are you going to say that on every call?
I'm just making sure. I'm just reminding you because you guys all had him at the 5th. You all had him at 5. Okay, just reminding you.
We did. I might have even had him at 6.
So I think you did have him at 6. You had Trask, or who did you have?
No, Trask is
Kellen Mond.
Got
so you had somebody. All right. So New England at the Jets. What do we think?
All right. I think Corey Davis proved you correct in that he can be a wide receiver 1. Okay. Corey Davis looked good, man. Two touchdowns, 90-some yards receiving. But he's probably going to draw Gilmore in New England. Yeah, I'm guessing. So it might be a little bit tougher of a matchup. Maybe you see Elijah Moore this week. Michael Carter did not show up last week.
No, he didn't. You know who else didn't show up? Denzel Mims. So I'll say wrong on that. So apparently, when I'm hearing through, I listen to a lot of sports talk radio.
Sports radio.
But they were talking about that game, and something that happened was that I guess Mims is kind of falling out of favor with the coaching staff. Mentioned him as the wide receiver 4 in an interview yesterday, and then took it back and said, well, I don't want to say that. He rotates in. But essentially, he's the wide receiver 4, and said that if he wants to get more snaps, he needs to learn all receiver positions so he could jump in whenever another guy is not needs a breather. So that means they don't like that he doesn't know all the positions. Sell on Mims if you can, or drop him. I think he's done.
Sell at all costs.
And that's with Crowder not playing.
Yeah, and that does not project well for a guy that was always also projected to be a project.
Yeah,
the Jets got him as a project. Yeah.
And I said
he's not going to learn every wide receiver.
No, he's not. And I mentioned Barrios when we were talking about them, and Barrios was on the field for most of the time.
Denzel Mims' route tree is a trunk. All he can do is fly down the sideline.
Yeah, I think he'll be off that team by the end of the season.
New England, despite the fumble, Damian Harris, man. Damian Harris looked like the man.
Yeah, he did.
Get him in your lineup. Get him in there against them Jets.
I think Nelson Aguilar is a nice ad. I think
Jets.
As this team, they start to open up the playbook with Mac Jones, and I think it's coming. I think Nelson Aguilar, we know what kind of season he had last year. He's a downfield threat. I think it's a nice speculative ad. Somebody that's going to factor in later in the season. The guy you guys are high on, Jacoby Myers. How'd you feel about him this week?
What did Jacoby show us? 6 for 44. It's sustainable.
Yeah.
And then you look at that tight end split is going to be, they're going to be looking both directions. With Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, they're going to play the hot hand, whoever gets open.
Yeah.
Jonnu out reception 5-3 for 11 more yards. Neither one of them got into the end zone, but it shows that they're both definitely on the radar.
And it was this guy's first game, and I think Belichick trusts him. I just think it's halfway through the season, we're going to see this offense be a lot more productive than it was yesterday going against a tough defense, as we mentioned before.
Yeah. All right.
Also, the Jets, and I'll just mention Josh Wilson, tough day. He rallied in the second half, but I still think he's a guy, especially in Dynasty, you could stash on your bench and be happy about what he's going to be.
You might even want to go Zach Wilson.
Did I say Josh Wilson?
You did.
Who's Josh Wilson?
Don't know. Is he one of our neighbors?
I don't know. He might be. I feel like I know a Josh Wilson. All right. Sorry about that.
All right. So Cincinnati against America's true team, them Chicago Football Bears.
That defense looked old, man.
Shut your mouth.
They did.
They didn't look great.
Yeah.
Stafford looked good, right? Stafford. We all predicted Stafford to look good in L.A., and he did at Chicago's expense. Chicago's defense did not look good.
So, quick hits. We're starting Montgomery, right?
You're starting Montgomery.
Starting Robinson still.
Yes.
Right? Are you starting Mooney?
Flex. If he's in flex consideration.
Okay.
I did not like how often they targeted A-Rob Sunday night. I think A-Rob should have gotten more of a lion's share looks. Montgomery, I am starting with complete confidence.
Yes.
He looked amazing.
He looked good. He's looked better than he's ever looked.
Shifty. Yeah. He looked fantastic. On the flip side of the ball, Mixon looked like he was that second round steal. He looked great.
Mixon looked good.
A lot of other fantasy podcast people have said, do not draft Mixon at all costs. He's a dud. I have been promoting Mixon since day one.
Sure have. I think we've all been pretty high on Mixon.
Yeah, and I think this podcast specifically has been high on Mixon, and he proved it, man. He had a big turnout. I think you can probably still safely start him against Chicago because he's going to get his fair carries and looks.
And Jamar Chase was starting, right?
Yeah.
I think you have to.
You have to.
And what about T. Higgins?
I don't know. I think one wide receiver is probably going to come out with good numbers here, and I feel like it's going to be Chase.
Yeah.
I agree. That secondary in Chicago again is suspect. That finished. That terrible play downfield to Van Jefferson where nobody tapped him down.
Introducing the
you can see that there's
Plus robot vacuum.
I don't know what that is.
What is that? I was waiting. I was trying to talk through it, just waiting until it ended, thinking it was a drop.
I have the ESPN app up. Sorry about that. So a little bit of a commercial. I'm into iRobot, so
there we go. It showed that Chicago's secondary is lackadaisical. And, I think you can probably start Chase with confidence.
They're starting, it looks like they're getting a little long in the tooth, and it's a shame because, that's what happened. That's what we talked about with Trubisky. They needed to they had that window, and Eddie Jackson, the guys are starting to look a little slow. Let's jump right into ATL at Tampa Bay, and wow, this really looks like bringing a lamp to a slaughter here. But, I just don't know with these NFC South matchups. I wouldn't be surprised if ATL went in there and put up 28, 30 points. I wouldn't be surprised if they scored 10.
It's called a trap is what this is called.
It's just one of those games like, what the hell is going to happen? Yeah. Tampa Bay look good. They look great. Are they going to come in? I mean, I don't think they'll come in sleeping, not with Brady at the helm.
So on paper, Philly's defense far inferior to Tampa Bay, right? And they shut Atlanta down. Yeah. So you would think Atlanta was going to get completely shut down by Tampa Bay, but we know that's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get Calvin Ridley off the schneid. I think that was an anomaly last week with Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, me too.
They're going to look Calvin Ridley's way double-digit times. They're going to get the ball in his hands. Russell Gage wasn't targeted until I think the fourth quarter, and only a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
I mean,
tough.
It was
Pitts. Pitts probably lost me my week. Yeah, I started him.
Pitts, I was so high on Pitts against Philly. I don't see that happening 2 weeks in a row. No. I think Atlanta's going to show up a little bit.
They're going to have to score.
They have to.
Yeah,
they have to because
Tampa Bay is going to score.
Tampa Bay is going to score, and
TB12.
Yeah. Mike Evans put up a real stinker there on Thursday night. Again, that's another anomaly because Mike Evans is going to get his share. Antonio Brown looked like one of the 5 best receivers in the league, according to
Everybody
Antonio.
looked good.
Everybody except for Mike Evans.
Yeah, I'm saying, but everybody, besides Mike Evans. Everybody got their share, though.
Yeah.
Godwin got his share. Gronk looked great. Wow, I mean, just...
Ronald Jones fell out of favor early in the game. I just read today, but they're saying that Ronald Jones will be back on the field as the starting running back and going up against this Atlanta defense. Philly carved through him, so... I
still like having... If you have Fournette, hold on to him because he looked good.
Yeah, Fat Lenny looked good. Fat Lenny didn't look so fat. Fat Lenny looked...
No, he looked not Fat Lenny.
Yeah, he looked more like Lombardi Lenny, honestly.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. He was catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, he had the one go off his hands that caused an interception, but besides that, I mean, he looked pretty good.
Speaking of Lombardi trophies in a city that's never going to ever see one is Arizona. Minnesota at Arizona.
Wow, you really just took the opportunity. Buried him there.
I did. I love burying Arizona. Oh. Anyway, with that being said, I love
We are who they thought they were.
I love everybody in this game. This is one of those games where the over-under is probably 95. And,
I agree.
I think this is one of those games where it looks like there should be a lot of offense, but it's probably going to be like a 6-3 game.
Yeah, I
think Cook's going to look good. I think Jefferson is going to produce this week. I think Thielen's going to get his looks. Cousins going to do well. On the flip side, Kyler Murray looked fantastic. D-Hop is going to shred that secondary. Chase Edmonds looked like every part.
We got to talk about that. We got to talk about that.
Talk about it.
Yeah, Chase Edmonds, 40 snaps. Connor, 32. I think that's much more of a timeshare than we thought coming in. Connor out-carried him. And, yes, Edmonds had more receptions, but I think it's much more.
5.3 yards per carry for Mr. Edmonds.
You keep going on the average.
3.3 yards per carry for
I don't care
Connor.
about the average. I'm talking about the splits.
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter if he averages more yardage if he doesn't get more carries.
It will, because as they realize that average is down, he will get less carries.
I don't understand how you don't notice. They know what he's done in the past few years. They brought another guy in because they're never going to make him the lead back.
Chase Edmonds, 106 total yards, man.
I don't see it. I don't know why. You've been on this train how many years?
You watched us. I'm telling you, they just had. It's like any good scientific experiment. You now have factored out James Conner. He is the.
I don't think they factored out James Conner.
You extrapolate him from the equation at a measly 3.3 yards per carry.
You think that's what's going to happen after one game?
You have a guy that's carrying every two times he carries the ball first down.
He's been there for years. They know.
Moving the chain. Exactly.
They know what he is, though.
Exactly.
They knew that before they signed James Conner.
For depth. 4 catches, 43.
32 snaps is not depth.
The game was out of hand. Tennessee was never in this game.
Okay. All right.
Kyler Murray looked good.
We'll see.
D-Hop, 8 targets, 6 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Let's talk about Christian Kirk. Let's talk about the guy that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
We talked about everybody. We talked about D-Hop. We talked about AJ Green. We talked about Rondell Moore. We did not talk about
Rondell Moore.
We did not talk about Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk, 5 for 70, 2 touchdowns. Looked good.
We know this, but the thing about Kirk is he's always had this. He's had games like this.
He's been there forever. They know what they got with him.
Okay. Well, you're going to start Christian Kirk every week?
No,
because he's inconsistent. That's the problem. Okay? That's what I'm saying. He's not a guy that you feel comfortable starting every week because you just don't know what you're going to get from him. I'd rather have a guy that's going to give me 5 for 60-something, and I know I'm going to get that every week. So when I start him, I know where I can slot him. Christian Kirk could be anywhere from there to 3 catches for 40 yards, and that's it. So, he's a conundrum for me. But
who are you starting in this game?
I wanted to mention I'm starting all the guys you said, obviously. But I just wanted to point something out about Adam Thielen, who I said earlier is being disrespected, and he's always disrespected. I don't know if it's the white receiver thing, but, I mean, come on.
I've never even heard that. White wide receivers.
I know. It's in my head. What I'm saying is, look, Justin Jefferson, looking at the wide receiver rankings for Yahoo and, Pro Football Focus, all these guys coming into week 2 still have Justin Jefferson and even, D-Hop, who she should be, like 10 spots above Thielen. Thielen, easily outperformed Jefferson last week. He scored 14 touchdowns last week, 9 receptions for 92 yards.
That's a lot of touchdowns in a week.
I mean, last year. 14 touchdowns last year. So we knew that coming in. But he's their guy in the red zone, especially with Irv Smith gone.
Yeah.
But we knew that. What we didn't know is that he's also going to catch 9 balls for 92 yards versus 5 for 71. He's a vet. I think Cousin probably still trusts him more. I just think he should be ranked a little bit higher week to week.
Yeah, and you get what you get with Justin Jefferson. We highlighted all off season. It's that average yards per target and that average yards per catch with Justin. And here he was over 14 yards per catch again.
Yeah.
So he's your playmaker. Thielen is your anchor.
All right, let's go on to the next game. I think we covered that pretty well.
Yeah, Tennessee at the Seahawks.
What do you think about this one? This one's interesting.
This is interesting because I think Seattle kind of played at their ceiling last week against a half-decent team, and I think Tennessee severely underproduced.
Yes.
Severely against another good squad.
So we have full go in the top 4 in Seattle?
So you're saying Wilson,
Lockett,
Carson,
Metcalf,
Yes.
We're starting everybody, right?
Everybody, because that Tennessee defense was exposed and did not look good.
And Tennessee, were you going the same?
Tennessee, I want to say, is going to figure out their offense and is probably going to hang a decent score on Seattle this week. That's what my heart wants to say. I don't know if my head says it or not yet, because that connection between Tannehill and Julio did not look good.
No.
Tannehill looked shook. Henry, I've never seen Henry tackled behind the line of scrimmage like he was scared to go down. It's almost like he knows that he's carried the ball so much and that his ACL is bound to blow out at some point. There was a goal line stand there where Henry was tackled behind the line of scrimmage twice. And, I mean, he was just like, it was like shoestring tackles. This is a dude that manhandles people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a part of how many memes where he's just tossing people to the sideline.
The thing about Henry, there's a podcast I listened to, a part of my take, and one of the guys on there has a theory about Henry that he's not a good short yardage back. And the theory is because he's so tall, his legs are so long, it takes him a little bit to get built up, his speed built up ahead of steam, that he's much more effective on the stretch plays because he can get going, get his power. And it played out on that goal line stand, but this kind of lends it to what I've been saying about him. I just think, the rubber's going to meet the road at some point. So many carries, big guy. It's tough. I know he takes. I know you guys say he doesn't take as much punishment. He delivers it, but he's still.
You're canceled with that comment right there.
What?
Derrick Henry is going to be Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to finish top 5 running back. Okay. You're not talking about
We've done this
Zeke
already.
Here.
I think he's going to have another bad week here.
Oh man.
So he's going to have a good week.
He's going to have a good week.
Okay.
Derrick Henry gets off this night. And speaking of Zeke, he's up in that next matchup. And he's going up against the Chargers.
Yeah, man. I don't know, man. Last week I didn't understand what I was seeing. Really, I gotta be honest with you.
As far as Dallas,
just the usage, for Zeke.
I feel
obviously you're starting him, right? You're not gonna not start him here, unless you for some reason have a better option.
Right. I mean,
Zeke.
You're going to start him, right? I mean, Gibson ran for 90 yards on the Chargers, right? Gibson's also younger, a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, man.
He looked good, though.
He looked all right. I will say this about Zeke. He looked slimmer, and he definitely looked shiftier than he's been in the past.
Yeah.
I think he's probably put the work in the offseason, but Dallas just has so many friggin' weapons, man.
But Gallup's out.
Gallup is out, but they have, next man up, Cedric Wilson.
Yeah, Cedric Wilson's a nice add, too, on the waiver wire. But
chomping at the bit.
It's going to be a field day, I think, for Cooper and Lamb owners the next few weeks while Gallup's out. Geez.
Yeah, and, not for nothing, Washington couldn't really throw the ball, and they have dynamic receivers, too, against the Chargers, but damn, Dak looked good. And against Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa's secondary is pretty decent, and their overall defense is really good.
But about
Dak looked great. I think you got to start Cooper and Lamb both with total confidence.
I think the Chargers are just going, Eckler.
You got to go Eckler.
I know the kid that they draft. Who's the
Roundtree?
Roundtree, yeah. Rounchy's the second. I mean, that's your handcuff right there.
Yeah. You got to go Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, of course, and I think.
Because you
obviously
look what
Air Bear. But
look what Brown did. Look what Brown did to Dallas. Antonio tore Dallas up.
Yep.
So I think Keenan is probably going to. Keenan made your top 5 receiver list. He slotted in there number 5. Yeah. So he's good.
He's very good.
Yeah, and
I love Keenan.
He's a target whore.
They got nice chemistry, him and Air Bear.
Yeah.
All right, so KC at Baltimore. This is a Sunday night game. Let's go here. Who are we starting that we don't know to start here? Are you buying the Sammy Watkins thing? I'm not.
I'm not either. But I'll tell you what, Hollywood looked good.
Hollywood looked good, but he looked like Hollywood. It's a boom or bust guy. There was a stat I heard earlier. Since Lamar Jackson's been the starter, so last was it 2.5 or 3 and some change, something like that. There's only 4 wide receivers that have scored more than 20 points while he's quarterback.
Wow.
And they had number 1 offense one of those years, right? Won an MVP. So that just puts it we always talk about Brown as a boom or bust guy. Well, that's the boom. I mean, he boomed last night for them. His boom is 17 points. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a ceiling on these guys.
That's a good point
when it comes to the Ravens. So just to put in perspective with their receivers. So I don't expect I'm not buying in. If you got Brown, he's obviously a flex consideration. I don't think anything more than that. Jackson, you're going to play him. Mahomes, you're going to play him.
Right.
Hill, Kelsey, CEH. I'm a little worried about CEH.
I am worried about CEH. Darrell, I don't know what Darrell Williams did. I didn't really go. I'm going to take a look right now. What Casey's backups.
The thing about CEH is that you think about Mahomes takes the ball into the end zone in the red zone. They run those little shovels for Kelsey. They ran a screen play to a backup guard yesterday.
Yeah.
He's not getting how many different ways can they take carries away from him in the red zone?
Yeah. But with that being said, he was basically the only guy carrying the ball. There were Darrell Williams 1 carry. Then you had Mahomes had 5. Tyreek Hill, wide receiver, 1 carry. Blake Bell, who I think is a tight end, 1 carry.
So this is think about all these carries they're being siphoned off from him.
Yeah. Well, so when it comes to pure run,
yeah, I know, but
he's the guy.
I don't think they really want to run the ball.
I don't think. No, I mean, how could
and then
they?
That's what I'm saying. Even if they don't,
Mahomes,
he's getting them siphoned off as well.
Yeah.
From places you're not thinking about.
All right, so you asked for people that you might not think about playing. Tyson Williams, get him in your lineup.
Tyson Williams, I start this week too.
Absolutely,
because I think they're gonna have Murray off the field.
Yeah.
All right, Detroit at Green Bay on Monday nighter. We'll finish it off there.
This is a real stink fest.
I think so, but you know what I'm excited about with Detroit? I think we learned that Terrell Williams, at least right now, doesn't look like a number 1 wide receiver. Even when they were trying to come back in that game, I think Jamal Williams and DJ Swift, right? DeAndre
Swift.
Why don't I say DJ Swift? DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams and TJ Hawkinson, I think, are going to be the top 3 receivers on this team.
Real hot take there, brother. Hawkinson with 10 targets, Swift with 11, Jamal Williams at 9. You're looking at 30 of the 56 targets.
Well, I'm just saying, did we think that the 2 backs were going to have that many receptions in the same? It was surprising to me.
I knew that this was going to be a check down offense. I really did think there was going to be a lot of backs and tight end play.
Yeah.
But I didn't think to that extent. I thought you were going to see some more Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah. I thought we were going to see some more Tyrell Williams and Quentin Cephas. But it was really those 3 guys, and that was it. Now, on the other side of things, is Aaron Rodgers deliberately trying to tank Green Bay? They look so bad. I think that's so bad.
I think you know what?
With one of the best wide receivers in the league.
I think him not being there all offseason showed its ugly face.
Yeah, I think he probably should have. This was like Baker Mayfield 2 years ago. Remember, Baker Mayfield was supposed to be the big thing, and then he focused on his commercial career.
Yeah, well, so they said, but yeah.
And he went into he was in like 50 commercials, right?
He still is though.
He went into his game went into shitter. Well, now you got Aaron Rodgers grew his hair out, decided to throw it in that tiny little Green Bay ponytail.
You're really going on this hair, man.
Oh, man.
You're a little obsessed.
It's just
you already said it. It makes me think that you like it a little.
I hate everything about Aaron Rodgers, and now it's his hair too.
And you just had to cut your hair, so it's probably burning you up a little bit.
It burning me up a little bit. But with that being said, Aaron Rodgers does look like he's probably in the best shape of his life. So I think he probably did dedicate himself, obviously, during the offseason, even though he wasn't sure if it was going to be Green Bay or not. They've got to get off the schneid, right? Especially against Detroit.
They got to knock off the rust.
I mean, if
they ran into a well-coached team that they didn't think was going to be able to play that well on the road. Surprising.
He could very well put up like 600 yards and 7 touchdowns this game. I feel like.
Yeah, that's possible.
Just out of spite,
Detroit's not a great defense.
Oh, you made fun of my man bun. Well, watch this. I'm back.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we covered about everything, and we took a long time to do it. But
we did.
We have one thing left to talk about. It's our picks, and I'll let Marky update everybody on everybody's record, yada, yada. We don't have to talk about each game, but just give it a tail of the tape.
All right, here we go. Last week, we had Rocky come in first. If Rocky was here, he would say, it's no surprise. I had a 56% win percentage last year. No, 68 win percentage last year. 3-1, I'm back at it. All right, kudos.
Yeah,
all right.
pipe down.
Good for you, Rocky. Silence over there. Then we had Phil and Antone come in at a respectable 2-2.
That's right. Leaves one left.
That's the difference. I went with heart, and it killed me. 1-3. So
Never bet with your heart.
I'm bringing up the rear. So once again, this week we're going to go with the four teams represented by the four of us. And let's go through our picks here. We'll start with Antone's Philadelphia Eagles plus 3.5 against them San Francisco Football 49ers.
They're home, huh?
Who?
Philly.
Philly, are they?
Yeah, you got to mention that.
Yeah, Philly. Did I not say that?
No, you didn't, but it's fine.
San Fran at Philadelphia. So it's in Philly. Philly getting 3.5. Our Antone has gone with San Francisco. Rocky, who is absent tonight, has also gone with San Francisco. Who you like here,
I'm
Phil?
going with San Francisco.
You're also going with San Francisco. So there are no Philadelphia believers on this hype train.
No.
My arms were long enough, I'd hit it.
Yeah.
Because Philly looked good, man.
Yeah, they were playing Atlanta, though. But go ahead and make your pick.
They did.
Coming from the 1-3.
Because of that, I am definitely going to have to go with San Fran.
You kind of have to go here.
I'm going San Fran because I can't stand Philly still. Even despite the win, I'm not an Eagles fan. All right, next on the docket, we have those Texans of Houston getting a stout 11.5 against them dirty Browns. We had Anton went with Cleveland. Surprisingly, Rocky goes against his own squad.
Yeah, I would go with the Texans here, too.
You're also going with the Texans.
I obviously think Cleveland's going to win, but 11.5 is a lot.
11.5 is a lot.
On the road, too. Oh, no, they're home.
I mean, Houston, they played Jacksonville. Jacksonville, we know Jacksonville is going to be a garbage heap this year in Jacksonville.
Yeah, but they were dogs in that game.
I am going Cleveland. I like Cleveland here. I think Cleveland's going to hang it on them.
All right.
So next we go to Real America's team hosting Cincinnati. Cincinnati getting 3 against them Chicago Bears. So we have 2 losses already with Antone and Rocky going Cincinnati. Phil, you going to make it 3? You going 3 losses?
What is the spread again?
Chicago -3. At home against the Bengals.
I'm taking Cincinnati, too.
All right, there you hear it, folks. 3 losses.
If Fields was playing, I'd probably go Chicago. But
3 losses there, despite your excuse. I'm going Chicago.
You have to pick them. Yeah.
All right. Last and certainly least are those Giants.
Don't worry, I'll be doing the same here.
The Giants who are getting 3.5. Away against Washington. Washington just lost Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
And you got Danny Dimes taking the short bus down to Washington. Short trip, short bus, Danny Dimes.
I will take the Giants. They beat them twice last year.
All right, so you're going to Giants. It looks like Anton went Giants. Rocky went Washington. And I think I'm actually going to have to agree with Rocky here, and I am also going Washington.
All right, guys, at this time, we're going to go to our big man on the show, the only guy on the show that really knows what he's talking about. Former Tennessee Volunteer, right?
Former Volunteer.
And first-round pick of Philadelphia Eagles, who I hate.
We'll forgive him for that.
Most people hate.
Because he was a Volunteer.
But, they had a big win this week. I hate him, though. Anton Davis, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, man, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the new Carson Wentz. I don't know if you want to say he's the new Carson Wentz or if he's the new quarterback for the Eagles. But, hey, guy's playing well. He's doing a great job, and I think he's winning over the fans week one.
I think you can take it a step further. I think you can just go out there and say he's the new Tom Brady.
Nah, I don't know if I want to go that far, but I will tell you this. You really have to respect his toughness, his mental toughness, his ability to adapt. I mean, this young man, if you looked at his college career, has gone through a ton of adversity, and he's always come out shining. And it's no surprise that a person like that with that kind of character and that kind of mental makeup is doing what he's doing right now. So he's going to be excited.
That's a great point, too, because he's been shedding off the haters. He's gotten nothing but hate all preseason long, saying that he's not going to be a great fantasy quarterback. And I think we even highlighted on one of our text threads that he was the 32nd ranked quarterback, and he's dealing with adversity still.
Not by me. I mean, he was my starting quarterback this week. I had big belief in Jalen Hurts, at least as a fantasy starter. I was a little iffy on him as a NFL starter, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if Atlanta's just that bad or this is more about the Eagles being good this year. But to move on what we're here for, I don't know what you got in store, Tone, but why don't you tell us?
So here's what I think we ought to do. Every week we ought to just talk about positions. We ought to talk about players. We ought to talk about what we really think, because you have those guys that you love, and the guys that you love to watch play. But then you also have guys, like you may love a guy, but you're not putting him on your fantasy, right? So now there's a conflict, right, of what you really think of that player. So what I thought we'd do is just talk about players by position, week in and week out, and just get like your guys. You say I'm the only one that knows what I'm talking about, but you guys have studied this a lot, and I'd really love to have your take on what you really think of these players, regardless of where they're ranked. Where do you think their production will be this year? Who do you think is actually better? Or is it just the team that person's on or the system they're in? And maybe just, like a pick a position, and let's just talk about them and see where we go.
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
How about wide receivers this week?
Sounds good. Wide receivers is great. And I'll tell you something that kind of made me think of this is that I'm watching a ESPN production, and they're talking about the top 5 receivers, right? Okay. And I noticed the one guy they did not include, Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
So you think what you want about Antonio Brown. Everybody's got their own set of issues, no judgment. But the guy is a really, really good receiver. And, oh, by the way, he's got a pretty good quarterback. So the question of the week for this week, give me your top 5 receivers and tell me why and make it good.
Are we talking fantasy or are we talking about
are we talking
football?
Yeah, we're talking straight ball. We're not talking fantasy at all.
Okay.
What kind of fantasy? What is his production? What is he capable of?
All right. I think I have to go with Tyreek Hill as my number 1 wideout right now.
Nobody saw that coming.
No, I mean, I think there's a couple other guys, but, I mean, I think he's the ultimate bailout card. I mean, you heard Mahomes say it after the game. Sometimes it be like that. Sometimes he just looks down the field and chucks it up. And even a guy that small, he'll go he plays big. He plays fast, and he's like the ultimate game breaker in the NFL right now. So I say Tyreek Hill for fantasy production as well, but just on the field is just like, he's a home run. He's a home run shot, a solo shot to get you back in the game at any point of the game.
I think you're right, too.
You hit that. Automatically putting him over a Calvin Ridley, a CeeDee Lamb. You're putting him over all these guys right off the top because of his speed. Yeah,
because of his speed, and he just seems to make plays. Like, I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, there's a bunch of guys that are in consideration here, but I just think week in and week out, and it might be, you could obviously attribute some of this to the quarterback he's playing with, the play caller he's playing with, but altogether, if we're just taking this from a big picture view, I think he's the best receiver in the league because factoring all that stuff in. Now, most talented, I don't know if I go there, but we're talking about production. I'd say Tyreek Hill.
Now, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said he's the ultimate bailout card, because that's how I view Tyreek Hill.
Tirico.
Tyreek Hill.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It was all one.
So you're saying Mike? You're talking about Mike Tirico?
No, like a Benefer situation there.
Tyreek or
Tyreek Hill. I have reservations with his ability as an overall receiver. He's fast, so he checks that box, but he runs great. He runs great routes, and he can catch the ball, right? So that should be ultimately a fantastic receiver, right?
Is he your number one?
No, for me, it's DeAndre Hopkins, because I watch D-Hop, and he's got that it factor, right?
Uh-huh.
He don't have to be open. He don't have to be the fastest man on the field.
Yeah.
But goddamn it, he's coming down with the ball.
Yeah.
You put that ball anywhere near him, he's got desire. He
Dedication.
has those physical attributes that he knows how to high point. He knows how to position himself to get open, right? And even you saw it in the game on Sunday as well. Even when the play breaks down and now they're ad-libbing a little bit, he's got the familiarity with the quarterback to be able to still find the soft spot in the zone and get open. For me, I think DeAndre Hopkins, if we're just talking best wide receiver talent-wise, DeAndre Hopkins is it for me.
Oh, who you got at number one, Tony? Are you taking part of this, or are you just stirring the shit?
No. I'm gonna give you my top 5 when you guys are done.
Okay, so maybe we should just run through them and then talk about it after, right? Because all right, so I'll go with my number 2. My number 2 was actually D-Hop, so I can't really argue with him at number 1. Okay. Who's your number 2?
My number 2 right now, I think would have to be. I think it's got to be Devontae Adams.
Okay.
All right, so we'll do.
So I go Devontae Adams number 3.
Number 3. So number 3 is probably where I would slate in Tyreek Hill.
Okay. Number 4, I would probably go with. This is where it gets a little tricky. And I probably, as crazy as it sounds, I probably would go Calvin Ridley right now at number 4.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. Again, here's a guy that I think has taken on some criticism, and he was supposed to fall to his team's wide receiver too, but I mean, you watched him produce, is Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is a fantastic wide receiver.
Table for Cooper before week 1.
Man, it was.
I told you.
He looks so good, man. 13 catches.
I like Cooper. I don't know if he's going to be in my top 5, but this is my 5th here, so I'm going to go Keenan Allen as my 5th best wide receiver.
Yeah, Keenan Allen. He's a target monster.
The guy just produces. I feel like there's no one thing that you could point to with him, like D-Hop being able to go up, get the ball, Tyreek Hill with the speed. There's not like one attribute that you really like key on with him. He's just productive. I mean, he runs great routes, obviously, but sure-handed, makes tough catches, and no matter who's quarterbacking, he's been productive. You could say the same for D-Hop, too.
Yeah, I think my number 5, I think a little bit of controversy here. I would love at this point to be able to put Jamar Chase up there because I think Jamar Chase has the tools. I think Jamar Chase is going to be an amazing NFL wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Another obvious pick here would be Stephon Diggs, right?
Yeah, I don't have him in my top 5.
I don't have him in my top 5 either.
He's on the fringe there.
He is, and good receiver, yes, but I want a guy that's big, physical, demands the ball.
I bet you do.
Even bringing in a stud like Julio Jones, A.J. Brown is still a very dominant wide receiver, and I think he proved that on Sunday again as well.
Okay, so that's your number 5?
That's my number 5, man. A.J.
All right,
Brown.
let me hear what you got, Tone.
Wow. So I'm surprised at you guys. All right, so right off the bat, D-Hop is my number 1 guy, hands down. I'm not going with Tyreek Hill, and I have reasons for that. Number 2, I'm actually going with C.D. Lamb. And I'm looking at that based on the quarterback he's got, the situation he's in. I love this guy on the field. Tyreek Hill comes in 3rd. Now, you can't argue Tyreek Hill's speed, but that, to me, I wonder sometimes the skill is the speed sort of hiding his skill, right? I mean, if you get open, you get open, right? If you got speed, you got speed. Great. But that's my number 3 guy. Now, number 4, this is where I think I got Antonio Brown, guys. Okay. I know some of the history. I know his recent history, and I really believe that, pound for pound, this guy is still a fantastic receiver. He's a very hard worker. He's a guy that you can really, when he's on, right?
Yeah.
We all know when off, right?
Oh, he's got great skills, man, and he's been doing it for a long time. I think you guys came into the league the same year, didn't you? AB's been around for a little bit, but he's still up there, man. He's still one of those. He's still an upper echelon receiver, without a doubt.
All right, here's my wild card though. Cole Beasley.
Cole
Can't
Beasley.
believe you got.
Oh no,
dude, I like where he's going. I like where he's going with this.
I don't like where he's going with this.
Oh man, are you kidding? Ultimate possession receiver.
No.
You want a guy like Cole Beasley on your team.
I'm not saying you don't, but we're talking about the top 5 receivers in the league. So are we talking?
You see what he did here, right?
I know he did.
He gaslit at the end.
You bit.
I did.
So
did you. You said, "Oh no."
No, you're agreeing with him.
Yeah, I like what he's doing.
It's because he's white.
That's not why.
That's why it is.
No, the obvious white guy would be Adam Thielen to throw in there, right?
And then, I think Thielen's being disrespected too here. But
and then Rocky would break into song, and that's the thing. Thank God we didn't bring up Thielen.
I don't think Cole Beasley breaks the top 25. It's not even close.
You got to Cole Beasley, and this guy's nothing but production. He's Steve Largent reincarnated. If you're old enough to know Steve Largent,
only faster than Steve. Steve was not fleet of foot.
This is recency bias with Cole Beasley. That's what it is.
No, man.
Yes.
I love what he did. Who doesn't want a possession wide receiver? Cooper Kupp.
You just gave your top 5, so you're taking him over A.J. Brown.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so
I'm not,
shut up.
I like what he's doing here. I like what he's doing.
Yeah, he's trying to get us to fight. You want to pick the other side. You don't believe that. We could just fight with him. I take Jamar Chase. I take Devontae Smith right now over Cole. I mean, I could just keep going. But, yeah, I get what you're saying. He's a valuable guy. But, I mean, come on.
Here's the thinking. I'm going to call this the LeBron James syndrome.
Okay.
You guys have very shallow memory, and you guys are going on what's hot right now.
Okay.
I'm talking about long haul. These guys are fantastic players who are proven, who are absolutely dependable, and you can't just go with who had a hot game in the preseason or who had a hot game, because we all know you can go hot and cold. And because honestly, do you leave the Heisman Trophy winners out? Do you leave Devontae Smith out completely? I mean, how did he win the Heisman? How did he become a first round pick? Mm-hmm. And then not even mentioned.
Right.
Yeah, but he's still not better than the guys we named. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. So let me draw you up a little scenario here, right? So you got 3rd and 5. It's towards the end of the game, right? You're Buffalo. You're Josh Allen. It's 3rd and 5, right?
He's definitely better than
you're driving. You're driving, sure. Right? You're driving, but it's 3rd and 5. Everybody's locked in. Everybody's locked in on Diggs. Sanders has had a decent game, so now Sanders is drawing some coverage. Yeah. Your backs are shit. Who are you going to?
Travis Kelce.
What? Travis Kelce isn't in Buffalo.
I know that, but all right.
You're going to Cole, man. Okay. Cole is the ultimate possession receiver. Tone props.
Hey, man.
Okay.
On the line, players, not plays, right? When the game's on the line, think players, not plays.
So he's the most clutch wide receiver in the league. Is that what you guys are telling me?
But he's going to give me 5 yards. I can trust him 5 yards.
But you could get other guys to give you 5 yards.
No, you can't. Not consistently. Not Cole Beasley.
There's nobody else. Oh, you guys are so.
I love it.
Oh, that's funny. You know what? That was fun, Tone. I'll be honest. And that little curveball at the end is a real kicker in the ass.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Peace.
All right, bro. We'll see y'all later. Thank you.
All right. Good talking to you, Tom.
Bye.
All right, bye.
I'll tell you what.
That was.
It's a good day, a good week. Well, not so much for me, but we're hoping for a good week. We thank you guys for joining us.
We owed it to the viewers. We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we sure did.
Week.
We sure did, and I pulled through clutch. So
man, it was probably our best episode too. I was probably spitting bars.
That one, yeah, it was okay,
like crazy.
So you guys know where to find us: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You're watching us on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Follow us anywhere. We're going to be trying to go live. We got to work that out and set a schedule for that. Yeah. But yes, submit your questions and we'll answer them online, whether through direct message or whatever, or underneath the video, whatever you guys want to know. We thank you for being part of this. We appreciate you guys. Peace. Happy week 2.